Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at a massive inefficiency in the modern workforce.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this collision between the way we design our workspaces and, well, the biological reality for about 20% of the people in them. We're talking about the highly sensitive employee.
And we really have to clarify that term right away, because sensitive in a corporate context, it almost sounds pejorative.
Right, like it means fragile or overly emotional.
Exactly. And that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the actual hardware of the brain.
Okay, so this is about a distinct neurobiological trait. It's called sensory processing sensitivity, or SPS.
Right. And the research we're pulling from today, Alane Freund's work at Google, architectural studies, it all frames this not as a personality quirk, but as an evolutionary strategy.
A strategy. So the tension is that we have this slice of the workforce, your best engineers, your best strategists, who are biologically wired for deep processing.
And we've put them in open plan offices that are basically kryptonite to their neurology.
The term I saw was sensory hellscapes, which sounds dramatic, but...
But when you look at the physiological response, it's not an exaggeration. It holds up.
So the mission for this deep dive is to reframe the ROI of this employee type, because it's not a flaw to be managed.
No, it's a high-performance asset that is being throttled by bad design.
Let's start with that biology, because this isn't just a human thing, is it?
Not at all. It's evolutionarily conserved. You see it in over 100 species. Fruit flies, monkeys. There's a famous study on pumpkin seed sunfish.
The sunfish study, right.
In any population, you find this minority, about 15 to 20%, that uses a pause and check strategy.
This is the bold versus the sensitive fish.
Exactly. So researchers put traps in the water. The bold fish, they just swim right in. High risk, maybe high reward, but a lot of them get caught.
But the sensitive ones...
They hang back. They hover at the edge. They observe. They assess what's changed in the environment before they commit.
So evolutionarily, the bold fish might get the food first.
But the sensitive fish are the ones that survive when a new predator shows up.
It's a risk mitigation strategy for the whole species. You need both.
You need both. And if you think about an engineering team, who do you want reviewing code before a huge deployment?
You want the sunfish that pauses to check.
You want the person who naturally spots the tiny anomaly. And Alane Freund really hammers this point. This is not fear. It's not shyness. It's strategic deliberation.
A biological need to gather more data before acting.
Precisely. And that data gathering is intense. The research uses the acronym DOES.
DOES.
Okay, let's walk through that. D is for depth of processing.
This is the core of it. I mean, if you have an HSP and a neurotypical person in the same meeting, the HSP's brain is just processing more metadata.
More metadata.
Yeah, brain scans show more activity in the areas for awareness and integration. They're hearing the words, but they're also cross-referencing tone, body language, project history, future implications, all at the same time.
Which explains the O overarousal. It's a bandwidth issue. Simple as that. If your brain is streaming in 4K and everyone else is in 720p, your hard drive is going to fill up faster.
So overarousal isn't an emotion, it's your nervous system hitting capacity.
It's a physiological state.
Huh.
Then you have E for emotional reactivity and empathy.
Which can sound like a soft skill, but you're framing it more like a data acquisition tool.
That is exactly how you should see it. An HSP manager can feel a shift in team morale or sense a conflict brewing between two developers way before anyone else. They're picking up on microsignals.
And finally, S, sensing subtleties.
And this is the superpower in technical fields. Noticing the detail everyone else filters out.
The slight wobble in a data chart.
The faint smell from a server rack. The one formatting error in 10,000 lines of code that breaks the build. Their sensory threshold is just lower.
It's important to distinguish this from, say, autism or ADHD, right? There can be overlap, but it's not the same thing.
Correct. Broadly, ADHD involves executive function challenges. Autism often involves different social communication styles. SPS is specifically about that depth of sensory and emotional processing. It's a trait, not a diagnosis.
So you have this high-performance, high-bandwidth hardware, and you drop it into the modern open office, fluorescent lights flickering, people walking by, constant noise. What's the metabolic cost of that?
And metabolic is the key word. We think of focus as like a discipline, but it's a biological cost.
It burns energy.
Burns glucose and oxygen. For a neurotypical brain, ignoring the air conditioner hum is automatic. It's gated out.
But the HSP brain is wired not to gate it out.
Right. It's scanning for threats. So to focus in that chaotic space, they have to actively, consciously use energy to suppress all that input.
They're burning fuel just to get to a baseline of zero.
Yes. It's like running a background process that eats up 40% of your CPU.
Mm.
By 2 p.m., they're not just annoyed. They're metabolically exhausted. There's lactate buildup in the brain.
And this is why noise-canceling headphones are not a complete solution.
Not even close.
Hmm.
Because 80% of sensory input is visual. You can block out the sound, but if people are constantly moving in your peripheral vision, your brain is firing that pause and check threat response over and over.
Every movement is a potential interruption to be assessed.
Exactly. And the time to recover is brutal. The data shows it takes an average of 23 minutes to get back into a deep flow state after an interruption.
23 minutes. So if you're interrupted visually every 10 minutes?
Your day is shot. You are mathematically incapable of doing deep work. You're just in a constant state of cognitive fragmentation.
This leads to burnout, but the research makes a distinction here, right, between occupational burnout and HSP burnout.
A huge distinction. Occupational burnout is that slow slide into cynicism and exhaustion. HSP burnout is a system crash. It involves a loss of skills.
A loss of skills? What do you mean?
I mean, the ability to articulate complex ideas, to regulate your emotions, to even make decisions can just go offline. It's often caused by masking.
Masking.
The constant, exhausting effort of pretending you're not bothered by the sensory pain. It's like redlining an engine for months. Eventually, something's got to blow.
So the environment is actively degrading the asset, which brings us to the pivot. Why fight for this? Why not just hire people who have, tougher filters?
Because you lose your advisors.
Your advisors.
This is from Alane Freund's tribal analogy. In any group, you have your warriors, the bold, action-oriented people who charge the hill.
And in a tech company, they're the ones pushing to ship the product by Friday.
Exactly. But you need the shamans or advisors who stay back, who study the patterns, and who say, hey, wait, if we charge the hill today, we're going to get stuck in the mud.
They're the ones pointing out the security vulnerability everyone else missed.
Precisely. And this is becoming more critical in the age of AI. AI is the ultimate boldfish. It will generate an answer instantly. It won't pause to check for nuance or ethical implications.
So the HSP brings the human edge, the critical discernment.
Neurodiverse teams are shown to be up to 30% more productive because of that balance. You need the accelerator, but you really, really need the brakes and the steering.
Okay, let's talk solutions. Designing for empathic IT and neuro-inclusion.
It starts with just abandoning the open plan monoculture. You need zoning.
Library concept.
The library concept is perfect. You have social, active areas for collaboration, and then you have deep focus zones where silence is a cultural rule.
Yeah.
It's not just about acoustics, it's the social contract.
That predictability lowers the threat response.
It does. And then you have physical barriers. There's actually an ISO standard for this, for acoustic pods.
Right, ISO 23351.
Yes. A lot of offices have these cheap glass boxes that don't do much. A proper pod has to reduce speech by about 30 decibels to create a true sensory escape.
And it's not just sound, it's visual noise too. Biophilic design.
This is fascinating. Our brains are evolved to process natural fractal patterns like leaves, wood grain, with very little energy.
It's easy on the eyes.
Literally.
Yeah.
But the hard lines and high contrast of a modern office actually increase cognitive load. So plants isn't just decoration, it's like a sedative for your visual cortex.
There's also a big cultural piece here, the curb cut effect.
Yes, this is the core argument. Curb cuts were designed for wheelchair users, but they help everyone. Parents with strollers, people with luggage.
So when you design for the sensitive edge case,
you make things better for everybody. If you create an asynchronous communication policy to protect the HSPs from constant Slack pings.
Your neurotypical engineers also write better code because they're not being interrupted.
Exactly. But for the HSP, it's not just a nice to have, it's a metabolic necessity.
Okay, let's get tactical for the listeners. For someone who identifies with this or a manager leading them, what can an individual do? The notes have this 4Ds framework.
Yes, this is Alane Freund's model for moving from that worry loop, that deep processing, into resolution.
First D, deliberation.
This is about containment. Your brain wants to process forever. So you set a timer. 10 minutes. Okay, brain, you have 10 minutes to analyze this problem from every angle. Go.
You give it permission, but with a boundary. Second D is discussion.
Externalize it. Talk it out. To a colleague, to yourself, into a voice memo. It forces your brain to organize the thoughts linearly.
Okay. Third D, discernment.
Now you step back and you're the CEO of your brain.
Mm-hmm.
You look at the data objectively. Is this a real threat? Is it a key insight? You weigh the pros and cons.
And finally, decision.
You have to close the loop, make a call, The pause to check is only a good strategy if it leads to an action. Otherwise, it's just paralysis.
There's another really practical biological hack in here, the 20-second reset.
This goes back to that visual overstimulation. If you feel that brain fog rolling in, just stop. Look away from your screen, look at something far away, preferably something natural, or just close your eyes for 20 seconds.
And that reboots the visual cortex.
It breaks the data stream. It tells your nervous system that you're safe. It's a tiny little system reset you can do all day.
And the last one is the big one, the zero stimulation hour.
This is non-negotiable maintenance. 1 hour a day with no screens, no podcasts, no new input, just downtime.
That sounds really hard for high achievers.
It is, but you have to see it as engine maintenance. You're flushing the metabolic waste out of your brain. If you don't schedule that downtime voluntarily, your body will schedule it for you through burnout or illness.
It's the difference between a pit stop and a total breakdown on the side of the road.
Exactly.
So wrapping up, the picture here is that high sensitivity is a high-value asset, but it comes with a very specific user manual.
That's the bottom line. In an age of automation, our ability to synthesize complex, nuanced information is the key human advantage. And the HSP is the archetype for that skill.
But to get that advantage, we have to stop designing workspaces for a statistical average person who doesn't even exist.
We have to stop forcing the advisor to act like a warrior. If you create an environment where the canary can sing, it will warn you about the gas leak. If you suffocate it, you're just flying blind.
So for the leaders out there, the call to action is to audit your environment. Are you burning your team's energy on just filtering noise?
And for the HSPs listening, your hardware isn't broken, it's specialized.
As Alane Freund says, worrying may be the birthright, but processing is the superpower.
That's the takeaway.
Thanks for diving in with us. Go find your quiet zone, and we'll see you on the next deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're